The next question that I have here is, what can tattoo artists deduct as business expenses? Some examples that people were asking about is tattoo supplies, travel to conventions, guest spots in shops, which we just talked about a little bit. How about getting tattooed or going to educational conferences, things that might help further your understanding of tattooing?
Well, first of all, realize that the list of possible deductions is unlimited.
Sure.
One of my favorites in that question was getting tattooed, because this is an area where the IRS fights like hell when it comes to cosmetic surgery. Actors and actresses are always going in and they want to get their face job. They want to deduct that. The IRS says absolutely not.
Wow,
cosmetic surgery, not deductible. But I talked to one tax expert I talked to about tattooing, and we both agreed that getting a tattoo for yourself, you're basically a walking marketing for your own business. Sure. So we both agreed that that's a defensible deduction, that you could say, yeah, that's a legitimate cost of doing your business, which is promoting yourself as an artist. So I think that would, but what's not deductible? Of course, any supplies you use is deductible. If you have a studio in your home, you might be open to the home office deduction, which basically, if you use part of your home as regularly and exclusively as either the principal place of your business or a place you meet clients, and that one fits in well with if you're an employee over here, but you have a home office, a home studio where you meet your clients, that can qualify for home office deductions. And then suddenly part of your electric bill is deductible. They won't let you deduct phones.
Okay.
But electricity and water, and if you own your home, you can depreciate it. And in fact, recently the IRS created a simplified method for home office deductions. Instead of keeping track of all your expenses and then saying, well, 20% of my house is my studio, so 20% of those expenses are deductible. They say, we'll make it easy on you. If you'll accept a maximum deduction of $1,500 a year, basically, it's $5 a square foot for up to 300 square feet of your house. No harm, no foul. You write it down, you take your $1,500. Okay. You don't have to have any proof of anything else other than the fact that you have part of the home used regularly and exclusively for business. Educational materials, my God, if you go to classes, anything you pay for licensing, or any fees that you have to pay to do your business as an artist, all of this stuff is deductible. Education, a magazine subscription that you take to help you with your art, deductible. it goes on and on and on. Yeah. And again, some people push the envelope too far, and the IRS might say, wait a minute, that's too much. But I think, you need to be a creative person. That's your job.
Sure.
You need to be creative in this area too.
Gotcha.
And the key thing, John, is receipts. That's receipts, the key. You can't make up a number. One thing, the guy audited a lot of returns. I said, what's the first question you ask somebody when you audit them? He says, show me what you were looking at when you came up with that number to put down on your return.
Sure.
Why did you write down $1,500 for an educational trip to New York City? What were you doing there? So.
That's really good info. So one question that I had on the home office side of things, I think this is something that people might be interested in. Typically, artists aren't necessarily going home and tattooing at a studio at their house, but they might be doing a lot of their drawing prep there. They might be doing Zoom meetings with clients to do consultations, maybe on days when they're not in the studio. Even though you're a tattooer and that's your main business, right? You're not actually tattooing at home, but maybe you're using your home office as a place where you're conducting the other parts of your business, consultations, drawing, things like that. That would classify as well? Or?
That's one of the gray areas we're talking about, because the law says principal place of business, or a place where you meet clients.
Where you meet clients,
Can you argue it's your principal? If you're spending 10 hours a week at home with all of the Zoom meetings and consultations, but 60 hours a week at a studio, I don't think you can meet the principal place of business test.
Gotcha.
So again, it's all going to come down to an IRS auditor if they're looking at you, which rarely happens. Can you convince them it's principal place of business? I think you'd have a tough one with that.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there anything off the top of your head that are write-offs that people can use that are just not common knowledge? And like you said, this kind of feeds into the get creative thing.
Well, I think that's it. The tattoo for yourself. I don't think most people would think about that. Other ways that you promote yourself, money that you spend to bring in business. The IRS knows you have to spend money to make money. And if you can show, a class you went to, a movie, if you're working on a concept for Black Panther. I think you can write off the cost to go see Black Panther 4 times.
Sure.
If that's going to get the creative juices flowing. But again, that's where you have to be thoughtful and creative and write it down. Say, it was $16 a time 4 times, and this is why I was there. Okay, so then you've got $64 worth of deductions.
That's really interesting, and I think that's a perfect example of something that we might pay for to learn more about something, go see something, get inspired, maybe go to a museum, and that feeds into maybe how you work that into your tattoo style. So things like that could be kind of unconventional or creative ways that are still totally legit because it is actually feeding your business.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Legitimacy is the key here. You're not just making stuff up.
Sure.
You're not taking the kids to Disneyland and trying to write off a $5,000 trip because you want to do a tattoo of Mickey Mouse. You probably don't need that. The other things, the museum is a perfect example. And those are the little things, but they can add up. I was looking at the tax rates now run from 10% to 37%. But if you're in the 24% bracket, basically the government's willing to refund 24% of all of your legitimate business expenses. So you want to add them all up and take full advantage of that.